Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty universal, I think. That big decision point so many of us face.
Yeah, that career crossroads. Do you go for the civility, the safe bet, or do you chase something maybe more creative, more
Yeah,
independent?
exactly. That tension between sort of the predictable harbor and maybe the more exciting, but definitely uncertain open waters.
hmm And the source we're diving into today really brings this home. It's centered on someone named Luhua, a recent IT master's grad.
Right.
And she was feeling really stuck, between two very different but both potentially good paths.
Okay, so Luhua needed some clarity, and she
Yeah.
didn't just make a pro-con list, right? She went for a deeper kind of analysis.
She did. She has a really specific question. Should I go into a big company for a stable life? Or should I stick with research, try to build my own thing?
That's the core dilemma.
Yeah. And the analysis used a particular method rooted in sort of ancient decision science to look at her situation. And the main finding, the kind of core trajectory it revealed, was this necessary shift, a move from an initial state called pi, which basically means obstruction, blockage.
Blockage. Okay, feeling stuck.
Exactly. Towards a changing state called Cui. And that one signifies gathering or convergence, coming together.
Okay. From blocked to gathering. That structural insight, that roadmap, that's what we want to unpack today.
Right.
Because for you listening, maybe you're facing a similar kind of big transition career, maybe something else entirely. The idea here is to pull out some actionable strategies from Lufu's analysis. How do you actually move from feeling blocked, nothing's working, to actively gathering what you need to succeed?
And what's really key here, I think, is that the analysis doesn't say one choice is better. It's more about defining the state you're in right now.
Which is pi, obstruction.
Yes. And then mapping out the process you need to go through to actually get things moving.
Okay, so let's start with that initial state, pi, obstruction. If Liwa, with a master's degree in IT, feels blocked, what does that actually look like day to day? It sounds counterintuitive.
Well, pi isn't necessarily about lacking skills. It's more like resources feel scattered. Opportunities just aren't flowing your way easily. And maybe your value, what you bring, isn't being immediately recognized by the environment around you. The dynamic is sometimes described as yin closed,
Yin closed, meaning?
meaning external support is low. Like the market or maybe the specific company she's looking at, they aren't quite ready or perhaps don't have the right opening for her specific skills right now.
Okay.
It's less about personal failure, more about a lack of alignment.
Got it. So if she's looking at big companies, pi might not be about failing to get interviews altogether. It could be like getting to the final round again and again, but never quite getting the offer.
Exactly that. Or finding the jobs available are kind of saturated, no clear path upwards. She's pushing, but the door feels jammed.
Okay. And for the other path, the research or building her own thing, what does pi look like there?
It's maybe more obvious. It's lacking those fundamental resources. Maybe seed funding is impossible to find, or getting access to the right equipment is a struggle. Or, and this is crucial, maybe not having the right collaborators yet.
Right. The passion is there, but it hits that wall of just practical scarcity.
Precisely.
Knowing that this feeling of being blocked is actually the defined starting state, that's kind of powerful. It changes how you approach it.
It does. It's not a sign you're doing something wrong necessarily. It's just the current phase.
But the analysis says she needs to transition to create the gathering, the convergence. How does that happen? You can't just wish yourself out of blockage, right? How do you make that shift happen?
Well, the shift to Cree is all about aggregation, about alliance. It's a signal that the way forward isn't just about doubling down on working harder by yourself. It's about actively seeking collaboration. The whole movement is from isolation towards collective strength.
So finding like-minded people, collaborators, strategic resources, as the analysis put it.
Exactly. Opportunity starts to flow when you connect with others, when you demonstrate your value within a network, not just as a solo player.
That makes sense. Moving from being a solo agent to part of something bigger.
Right. The environment might not be ready for you alone, but it might be ready for the coalition you build.
Okay, let's apply this then. Let's look at Luhua's two specific paths through this lens of pi moving to Cui. What does it mean for someone choosing the corporate route versus the startup route?
Okay, so for path one, the stable company, The fact that she starts in pi suggests she should probably anticipate some friction,
Friction
like maybe clashing with the established corporate culture, or finding promotions are slow coming, or maybe struggling to get her, advanced research ideas valued immediately in a commercial setting.
Right, the system might not immediately get what she brings.
Exactly. So the advice, based on needing to move towards Cui, is really about achieving that convergence internally.
Internally, meaning don't go in expecting to be a star right away. Focus on building relationships inside the company.
Precisely. Success in the long run, according to this, depends on finding allies, finding mentors within that organization, slowly building influence, getting access to the company's resources, maybe finding someone to champion her ideas. It's less about immediate individual achievement.
Okay, that's a clear strategy for the corporate path. Now, what about path 2, the research creation path? Doing her own thing. We know P means resource scarcity is kind of baked in at the start.
Yes, that's expected.
So where does the key advice, the gathering part, focus here? What's the key?
The key here, and the analysis was very specific, is avoiding a particular pitfall. It's mentioned in the hexagrams related poetry. Miju wu luan ming li jiang.
Okay, what does that translate to, roughly?
It's a warning against rushing randomly for fame or profit in the maze.
Ah, okay. That sounds very much like the classic startup panic mode, chasing every shiny object, pivoting constantly out of fear rather than strategy.
Exactly. It's warning against becoming a solo army, driven by that scarcity anxiety.
So if the fear of not having enough resources pushes her to just scramble, try everything unsystematically, apply for every grant, even if it's not a good fit, go to every conference hoping for a lucky break.
Yes. If she does that, the analysis suggests that crucial transition to Cui, to real gathering and strength, it just won't happen. It gets scattered.
So the creative path, paradoxically, requires more strategic planning, not less.
In this framework, yes. It requires deliberate planning, focused recruiting of partners or early team members, and a consistent fundraising strategy tied to actual measurable goals, not just chaotic hustle.
That really reframes the whole idea of entrepreneurship, doesn't it? Less about pure grit, more about strategic coalition building from day one.
It does shift the emphasis, but the analysis actually goes further. It lays out a kind of predictive roadmap, 4 distinct phases for this journey from pi to Cui.
4 phases, okay.
Yeah, and the idea is that you, the listener, could potentially map these phases onto whatever big project or decision you're currently navigating. It offers a kind of psychological preparation.
All right, let's walk through them. What's phase 1, the beginning?
Phase 1 is summarized by the phrase, Jinxiang zilai shun shixing.
Which means?
Meet the like-minded and follow the trend. The advice here is pretty direct. If someone offers help, take it. If a potential mentor shows up, engage with them. If an opportunity gets referred to you, follow up.
So don't overthink it at this stage. Don't wait for the perfect plan or the perfect connection.
Exactly. It's about integrating resources and accepting support when it appears. That's more effective right now than trying to forge ahead completely alone, perfecting every detail. It's about recognizing and kind of leaning into that initial pull of support.
Okay, makes sense. Accept help. What's phase 2?
Phase 2 is called Juer Buduan Lu Xingchang.
And that translates to?
Roughly, decision causes wounds or scars.
Oof. Okay. So this is acknowledging the cost.
Yes. It's basically saying regret is part of the deal. There will be a cost. If you choose the stable path, you'll likely feel the scar of sacrificing that creative freedom or potential big upside.
Right.
If you choose the research path, you're going to feel the scar of giving up reliable income, maybe benefits, predictable holidays.
So the advice isn't to avoid the pain, but to expect it.
To accept it early on. The suggestion is to actually list out your core values, what matters most. Security, freedom, impact, achievement.
Right.
And then consciously prepare a buffer, mentally, and maybe even physically, for those moments when you feel the sting of the path not taken.
Acknowledge the sacrifice. That sounds like where the commitment really starts to bite.
Yeah.
But phase 3, you said the analysis issues a real warning here.
It does. Phase 3 is Huishuo Shang Shangzang Kuhao.
Okay.
Which translates to something like look back, injured back, crying aloud.
Wow. That's dramatic.
Yeah.
Not just difficulty, but actual crisis.
Yes. This is flagged as the crisis point. The analysis is quite clear that a significant setback, maybe financial, maybe health-related, maybe a major conflict with partners or within the company, is not just possible, but likely.
Injured back. That sounds like feeling overwhelmed, burdened, maybe powerless.
Exactly. A sense of being truly burdened.
Yeah.
And crying aloud points to the emotional toll, potentially reaching a breaking point.
Okay, but if this is likely, almost inevitable according to the analysis, how is knowing that helpful? Isn't the goal to avoid crisis?
That's the interesting part. Trying too hard to avoid any risk can lead back to that rushing randomly trap we talked about, spreading yourself too thin.
I see.
By accepting that a significant challenge is probably coming, you can prepare strategically for the fallout, rather than being completely derailed by it.
So the warning is really about preparation.
Yes. Prepare now while things are relatively calm. Build that emergency fund. Cultivate your support network, trusted friends, family, mentors, maybe even a therapist. Have that psychological safety net ready.
Because how you handle phase 3 determines if you actually break through.
Essentially, yes. Managing this crisis phase without completely collapsing is what allows you to finally push through to the convergence of Qi instead of falling back into the blockage of Pi.
Okay, that's heavy, but crucial. And then, if you navigate phase 3, comes phase 4, the payoff.
Yeah. Phase 4, Li Dezan Shiyu Li.
Which sounds more hopeful.
It is. Beautiful wings unfold, things become favorable. This is when things start clicking.
Like the promotion comes through, the grant gets approved, your project gets noticed.
Exactly. Momentum starts to build. Resources align. But interestingly, the analysis warns against just sitting back and enjoying the success here.
Oh, what's the warning?
Don't just celebrate the win. The advice for this phase is to seize that positive momentum and systematize it.
Systematize the success. What does that mean in practice?
It means putting structures in place, making detailed plans for the next stage, maybe expanding the team if it's your own thing, setting clear, quantifiable goals for the future. Basically, turning that hard-won success into something sustainable, something with foundations.
So don't just ride the favorable win, use it to build a bigger, stronger sail for the long haul.
That's a great way to put it. Convert the breakthrough into durable gain.
Okay, this is incredibly detailed. Let's try to boil it down. For someone listening right now, feeling maybe stuck in their own Pi phase, looking towards coup, what are the concrete, actionable steps they could take based on everything we've discussed? Maybe 5 key things.
Okay, yeah, we can distill 5 steps from the analysis. First, self-inventory. Really get clear on what you value most right now. Write down, say, your top 3 priorities. Maybe it's income, freedom, impact, stability, learning, whatever they are for you. Then honestly assess which path aligns best with those current top priorities.
Okay, know your immediate priorities. Step 1. What second? Second, dual track planning, if possible. Think about creating a temporary bridge to ease the transition and that scar tissue from phase 2. Could you do some research part-time while holding a stable job? Could you propose an innovation project within your current company that scratches that creative itch?
Find a way to soften the either-or choice, at least initially. Got it.
Third, network strategically. Remember phase 1, Zhang Jiang Zi Lai Shen Xing. You need to actively look for those people. Be proactive in seeking out potential mentors, allies, partners, collaborators, and people who can help you start that coup gathering process. Don't wait for them to find you.
Be intentional about building your coalition. Makes sense. Fourth,
build that resource buffer. This directly addresses the warning of phase 3. Start preparing now, financially and emotionally. Shore up your savings if you can, strengthen your support system, know who you can turn to when things inevitably get tough. Prepare for the crying aloud phase before it hits.
prepare for the storm. Crucial. Okay, and the 5th step. Fifth, systematized execution. This counters the rushing randomly trap. Whichever path you lean towards, start listing clear, measurable, time-bound goals. What do you want to achieve in 6 months, 1 year,
Yeah.
3 years? Having that plan provides direction and helps you make focused decisions, especially when resources are scarce.
Right, having a plan stops the panic-driven scrambling. Plan the work the plan.
Exactly.
This has been, well, a really insightful deep dive. Taking this ancient wisdom, this predictive framework, and seeing how it maps onto such a modern, common dilemma. It's fascinating. Thanks for walking us through Lahua's analysis and pulling out these strategies.
You're welcome. It really shows how these patterns of transition are quite timeless.
Yeah.
And maybe a final thought for you listening to sort of mull over.
All right.
The analysis really emphasizes that feeling stuck, being in that Pi state, it isn't failure. It's actually the necessary starting point before you can build that collective strength of Q.
Right. It's just phase 0 in a way.
Exactly. So the biggest challenge might not actually be making the initial choice between the 2 paths. It might be managing the emotional toll and the almost predictable setbacks of that difficult phase 3 we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So the question to leave you with is, if you accept that a really tough phase is likely coming, How does knowing that today change how you prepare even before the first sign of trouble appears? How does that knowledge shape your actions right now?